Hey students, welcome to week 8's overview, the last week. Yay! All right, we're going to talk about credit protection, credit card, or protection from creditors, from taking advantage of unsecured debt, credit card fraud a little bit, just kind of dive into the whole thing. So here we go. Credit and the basic rights of consumers. So to protect consumers, many laws and regs have been put together. Both, this happens at the local, state, and federal level as well. And the idea is to protect consumers from buying fraudulent products or products that don't meet the specification. So a good example that's come up from this, that's come up recently, and I say recently, in the last 10 years or so, is the requirement by producers, food producers, to put calories on their labeling and to accurately reflect the calorie count and all the other protein and salt and all that sort of thing on their labels. So that's part of this. That's part of the consumer protection laws now. And let's look at the basic areas of consumer protection. I'm going to try to zoom in on this. This is in your book, and it's a pretty good diagram. So you see the Federal Trade Commission, that protects us from false advertising, price fixing, unfair competition, misrepresentation of price. The Food and Drug Administration helps protect us from, or provides standards for all kinds of things, including health aids, cosmetics, food, that sort of thing. Consumer Product Safety Commission sets standards for how things get researched, how products get researched, setting product safety standards for us, and all sorts of things. And I might add too, at least in the automotive world where I live, so the government has a big hand in saying, what the safety standards are for vehicles, as well as miles per gallon and the fuel efficiency of vehicles. That's all part of this realm of protecting the consumer. Let's look at credit for a minute. There are different kinds of credit available out there. There's, of course, charge accounts for specific stores like a Lowe's card or Menards, but then there's general credit cards, Visa, MasterCard, that sort of thing. There's regular charge accounts, revolving charge accounts, lines of credit, and we'll talk a little bit about a line of credit in a moment here and why you might need one for a business. Let's look at some regulation, three pieces of regulation that's gone in over the last 50 years or so to protect consumers. One of them is the Fair Credit Reporting Act. It was created in 1970. I was 8. You weren't born yet, most of you, probably none of you. But I was 8, and then was amended later on in 94. And it really is to help in the whole area of identity theft really has just taken off for the last 40 to 50 years. So that's in an effort to help with that. The right, it also helped with right to accurate billing. Imagine getting a credit card bill but not having this stuff on your statement. The amount that you owe, the unpaid balance, the finance charges, the annual percentage rate, the actual finance charge in dollars and cents, the unpaid. Imagine getting a credit card statement and not having that, or getting a loan and not having that information available to you. Well, that's part of the legislation that was passed. Now, the right to a fair debt collection, this is to control the behavior of bad debt collectors. They can be pretty aggressive, and you don't want them on your case. So I've heard horror stories. So that piece of legislation will help you rightly deal with debt collectors. Fair Credit Billing Act put in place some protections against, hey, if you dispute a bill, you don't have to pay that portion of it while it's being disputed. That was created back in the 70s as well. All right, surety and guarantee. So the whole thing about unsecured debts is, there's no collateral to back it up. And so if you're a creditor, you've given credit to somebody and it's not a secured debt, then you've got some remedies. Part of it is collection, lien on people. You go through a collection agency. The problem with the collection agency for most credit companies is that they only get pennies back on every dollar that's owed back to them, or they can just plain sue you and get a judgment. The other way they do is prevent it up front with a suretyship or guarantee. and these remedies prevent default debting from even happening. Okay, so let's talk about suretyship for just a minute. A suretyship is a promise by a third party to be primarily responsible for paying another person's debt. This is the best connection I can make with it. Think about a co-signature on a loan. When you got a student loan, if you've got one, your parents probably had to co-sign with you. That was a suretyship. In other words, if you don't pay it, they're going to have to, because they're equally responsible for it as you are. It's just like they were taking out the loan. All right. And in fact, that shows up on their credit report as well. So, by the way, if you ever co-sign for a loan, it shows up on your credit report, and you are as responsible as the person who's receiving the money. We have 4 kids; they're all adults, grown now. But yeah, when they were in college, I was co-signing loans all the time. I had all kinds of debt. I was responsible for with that. Now let's talk about a guarantor or guarantee. What this is a third party who is secondarily responsible. So, unlike a suretyship, if the primary person doesn't pay, then the guarantor will have to step in and pay. But they're not really as responsible. You might think about it like that. The primary person still has to try to pay. If they can't, then the secondary person has to pay. So when you get a line of credit, if you get a line of credit as a business, it depends on the size of your business. If you don't have enough collateral to back up the amount of loan that you're getting, then you might have to have a guarantor, somebody who will step in and say, you know what, if company ABC doesn't pay off this line of credit, I will step in and pay it instead. Okay, not uncommon for banks to ask you to do that. So just be ready for that if it happens to you. Okay, so watch the devotional. It's our last week of class. Discussion questions. Oh, I forgot to change. It's 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. Oh well. And make sure the discussion questions are done. Quizzes and assignments. Now, this week is week 8, so the assignment. Make sure you check out the assignment clearly and carefully. We're going to do one-on-one presentations by Zoom, and you're going to pick some topics that are of interest to you in this class and present them back to me, and we're going to have some discussions about it. So you can do it. You got this. All right, last week of class. Hope it goes well for you, and remember, God is on his throne. He's always been there, and he's always going to be.